We don't have time to think. We think on the go. That is the most important part of our life. We don't plan thinking. And then ideas are like everybody has an idea. But if you don't know the why of your idea, why it needs to be done, think hard. But it will not go anywhere if you don't know the how to implement it and when to implement it.
Hi, baby, hop in the Lamborghini. I'm needy, on me only, I'm needy. Hi, baby, hop in the Lamborghini. Left for a minute, I did not sweat it. Look at the cash I'm spending. There it goes.
Welcome to another episode of Stroke of Success podcast. It's your host, Khurram Bukhari, aka KB. Guys, today's guest is someone special, and I will share his backstory before jumping into the interview, so bear with me. This individual came to America year 1997. No family, no friends, no connections, $1,000 in his pocket. Here, where it gets interesting, he came to America as a medical doctor, physician. For those that may know, may not know, just because you're a doctor, a lawyer, an architect from a foreign country doesn't mean that you'll get that job here in America. You have to pass many exams, board exams, state exams, before you actually get hired. So as he prepared to take these exams, he had to do blue-collar jobs as food delivery, construction, you name it, he can claim it. But what got to me when I heard his story, what made me want to share this with my audience is that he had grit, he had a vision. Today, he is a founder and CEO of Pioneer Medical Group. Over 200 physicians working for him, a C-suite of employees, staff, you name it, they have it. With that being said, please welcome our guest, Dr. Ali. Dr. Ali, thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule and speaking with us here today and sharing your story. Welcome to my podcast and joining us today. Yeah, Dr. Ali, my wife came home. She always knew that I was into entrepreneurship. She goes, "Oh my God, Khurram, you need to meet Dr. Ali. His story is just something out there." So, thank the higher power, we're here today. Dr. Ali, let's just talk. So from Pakistan. What part of Pakistan are you from?
So I am from Karachi, Pakistan, and it's one of the largest cities in Pakistan. And I've lived, the half of my life over there before I came down here.
Okay, from Karachi.
Karachi, yeah.
Wow. Okay, very good. Dr. Ali, when you come to America, how old were you when you came to America?
I was 27 years old.
27. Okay.
Yeah.
Single?
And
married?
now I'm 52. So it's been a long time for sure.
Were you single?
I was when I came here, I was single.
Dr. Ali, how was America for you? Stepping off the plane from Pakistan, Karachi, what was your perception? How was the political climate? What was it like? Man, this is it. This is a line of dreams, or man, what am I doing? Let me go back home.
It was different. I visited America in '92, and I came here to attend my brother's graduation. And when I came over here, everything is different. It's one thing watching things, in the movies and the documentaries, but living the life. And I'm not saying culturally different in a good way or a bad way. I mean, some of those things are really great, and some things were just not were different. Some of the phrases were different. I remember the first time when somebody said to me that I'll see you later, and I'm like wondering, okay, when will I see him later? Should I ask him? And then when you come around here, a lot of people ask you some of those questions that you find silly too. Like, I remember somebody asked me that you guys have cars back home, and I know that in a very small population, but at the same time, I found the culture to be very open-minded, not restricted, more inclusive than what I felt back home. And I know that that's not something that most of us say. I think that the concept of American dream, I mean, I start seeing it, and I need to prepare myself to do what I got to do. But a lot of people were kind to me. Most of the people, are kind to me then and now. and I know that I could not have been able to do what I did. It would have been much difficult to do some of those things back home.
Wow, that's interesting. You have cars back home. I love that. That's one of the stay with me after this interview. Dr. Ali, so you're here. What city did you walk into? You landed?
I came to Chicago with $1,700 in my pocket
Okay. 1700.
without medical license. I was a physician back home, and but when I came here to Chicago, I couldn't practice medicine because I didn't have my medical license, and I was doing research at Rush with Dr. Raza at that time. But at the same time, in order to survive, I was doing all kind of different jobs for the first couple of years. I remember that in the morning I will dress fancy, go in, and do this fancy leukemia research and myelodysplastic syndromes and everything else which comes with it. But in the evening, I was doing carpet cleaning for the most part, pizza delivery, just like all of us have those stories. There's nothing different about it. But I think that the biggest thing that I learned at that time is the humility. That life humbles you down, and it has humbled me down many times. And then you start to realize that even if you ever become something, and I mean that is relative also, that what is that something, that you need to realize that where you were and how you treated the people around you. And I think that is one of my biggest lessons that I learned during that time. I mean, one thing that now I say quite often, that without humility, when people become something, it's like when you talk to them about heaven, they have to look down rather than look up. And I think that that's something that I learned quite early in life. It's a long answer to your question, I guess.
No, that's fine, doctor. Doctor, 1,700 in your pocket, Chicago, no medical license here, but you are a physician in Pakistan, doing random jobs as most immigrants do. Look, I'm born and raised in this country. I did the jobs in college, so but and some of us have not, right? It all depends on your luck or your journey. Dr. Ali, were you religious ever?
I was early in my life.
Interesting.
Tell me about that. I was a very early, very, very spiritual, very religious early in my life. And I'm not as much now, for good or bad, but it is not just based on any influence of any. It is just after with my life experiences, with some of the things, I feel that there is a higher power. But at the same time, I feel this higher power is much more kinder than we give attributes to.
I agree.
I think that the concept of burning, I struggle with that a little bit. That I think that God is much more. It has more love than the punishing part, and I take peace in that. I think that that is one of the main purpose of life, is to be kind and bring love to other people's life. And I think I'm not that religious, I'll be honest with you.
Yes, yeah, Dr. Ali, it's interesting you say that. That's my latest standing with religion, myself, faith. I believe in a higher power, something more bigger than us. But I just don't always agree with the Islamic perspective of negative versus positive. And I agree with you. There are a lot of good people out there that may not be, Muslims. They may be Christians or Jewish or
they are
good people, beautiful people.
Yeah.
They help people.
Right. I mean, some of my biggest heroes in life, whether it is Mother Teresa,
Yes,
Nelson Mandela, you look at Gandhi, you look at, I mean, they're heroes right in front of us. And,
100%.
they may have different beliefs, but I think all of them have a singular characteristic that they want to do good for others. And it's not a singular belief in any one religion which can guide you to success.
I agree with you, Dr. Ali. Thank you for that. So 27. Now, when do we get started with medicine? How old were
So
we?
1997, I came here, and I was doing all kind of different things. I finished my USMLEs. I was not very smart, but I was very hardworking always. I was not always very studiously smart, but I was extremely hardworking all my life. And one of the main things that I've done is that how I can improve, how I can learn from my failures personally, professionally, financially, that how I can be better. I got a chance to get into Harvard and Boston later on in 1999. I did my international radiology fellowship over there. And this was followed by UMass, where I did my internal medicine. And I was done by 2003. I continued to work on myself. I continued to work with some of the ideas. And in 2003, I came down here to Florida. And one of the things that I always wrestle with that I have my own dreams, like everybody, right? You have your dreams, I have my dreams. And should I work for my dreams, or should I work for somebody else's dreams? Or maybe there's a way we can create something that everybody is working towards a mutual dream. So it's a win-win for everybody. And it takes time to develop something like that. And nothing is perfect. But at the same time, as long as you have the desire to do something different, and I know that we all believe that or people like to believe in dogma on that we all have to follow the dogma, but at the same time, I think it's important to think differently. And I think that is something that I pride myself that think differently as a value added, not like a circus clown. But I think that is something that is important to me, and that's how the rest of the story goes.
Dr. Ali, 2003, you're in Florida, Tampa, am I presuming?
Yeah, I was in Tampa. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Were you married by this time? First marriage?
I was. I married my ex-spouse now. A wonderful woman, a great mother. And but we started to drift away, later on. But to answer your question, yes, I was married at that time.
Dr. Ali,
She has been,
was Pioneer open in 2003? No, what year is Pioneer open?
Pioneer, in 2006, I created a small, organization. We call it Pioneer Medical Services. The short form of that PMS was not the right thinking. There's no branding involved, I guess.
Yeah.
So I remember that calling the ER, and they will say, "You must be in a mad mood because." And the big organization, Pioneer Medical Group, was in 2013. We are one of the fastest growing organization in our market with what we do. Pioneer Medical Group was 2013. Later on, with the Pioneer Medical Foundation in 2015, then Pioneer Neuro Health in 15, and then followed by Pioneer Critical Care later on, and a few other things.
So I'm gonna go back to the first marriage quickly, and we'll jump off it. You have children?
I do. I
Okay.
do. I have 3 from my previous marriage.
Dr. Ali, did the marriage start to go south when you started to get more busier and more successful? Because a lot of
I
entrepreneurs I
will not
talk
say
to,
successful. I mean,
yeah,
I think let me. I know there is no real way to summarize this, and I know it's a very personal question. Um, uh, I think at a time when when we were parting ways, the initial thought is that I mean, it's not me. I mean, it's not me. I mean, I've not done. I just don't have. Uh, you know, uh, uh, I don't have what I require in this marriage. And then later on, you start to realize that, you could be a better man. You could have been a better man. You could have done more. You could have, you could, you could have done more effort. And I think that I, when I look back now, I mean, I think that I learned from my failures during that during that time, and I think that that has taught me a lot. I think that it has made me a better person, a better husband now, a better man, and I think that all you know the what we do, what you do, it's all the continuum. Your work and home and everything is a continuum. And I think that if you're not doing well in one part of your life, you don't do well in the other part of your life.
bingo.
And I think that that has the lessons that I learned just for myself. I think that um, that has improved me as a person. And I think that that has taught me how to take responsibility, for your own self, rather than just just trying to say that it is not all my fault. Not that I'm saying that my marriage was perfect in any way or form, but I think that I learn a lot from that, just for my own personality.
Yeah, Dr. Ali, thank you for sharing with me. Yeah, I know it's a very personal question. The reason I asked it, Dr. Ali, I just got back from a convention in South Florida, 300,000 entrepreneurs sitting down together. Patrick Bet-David does a thing every year. And the topic came up of how marriage, lack of marriage, or a marriage or type of marriage can to contribute to the mindset of an entrepreneur. I'll flip the coin for you. There's a lot of millionaires / billionaires out there. They're not married, and they share their struggle, like how important it would be to have a partner. But thank you for sharing that, Dr. Ali. The struggle.
But it takes, works eats you away, especially if you are driven, and maybe not. Of course, not for everybody. There are a lot of very happy, successful people out there. But in my case, I think that works eats you away. I mean, if you are, you're getting up at 4 in the morning, literally for years, and coming home at 9, 10, 11, 12, and then going again. And you are seeing patients. You are making sure that you're developing something. Your day and night gets, this all gets mangled up, and you don't have time for yourself. You don't have time for anybody else, and you don't have time to express what is missing. You just in a hurry. You don't have time, and I think that that's something that I that's something I learned, that I need to express. I need to connect with my own emotions. I need to say what I need also, and I need to listen what the other person has to say. There's a there's a lot that you have to do better.
Dr. Ali, do you think that comes to our culture? Look, I know my parents are divorced. But my dad was very strict. Don't be emotional. Don't talk about your feelings. Man up, man up. Even to
Yeah,
this day, my dad's
yeah.
65 years old. I'm
Yeah.
very emotional. My wife would tell you I
Yeah.
like to
Yeah.
express myself.
Yeah.
Pakistani men are not told to do that,
It
right?
is. It is. I mean, we are not. We are not. I mean, if I say to you that I'm hurting, the other person reaction could be that you're weak.
You're weak.
Your vulnerability, and this is what I learned a lot in the past 10 years, I would say, that sometimes people think vulnerability even in leadership is weakness. It is not. It is being strong. It is brave to be honest with you and others. It is brave to talk about your experience. As a child, I was molested. I could never talk to anybody. To this day, it is uncomfortable to talk about those things. And even the little things that if you share, you feel that in our culture, unfortunately, maybe not for, I would not say this about the culture, maybe, but it is maybe the way we were raised, that you have to be strong, and strong meaning that you just need to put all your pain, all your emotions and everything under the rug. And you just stand tall and walk, regardless of how much pain you are in.
100%.
And I think that, I mean, that's I think that I think I know this now, that being vulnerable is more courageous than rather than just saying that I'm strong all the time. Because if you are strong, what you are saying is that you are rigid, and when you are rigid, you break easily. And I mean, that's something that I've learned now more than ever.
That's an amazing story, Dr. Ali. 100% right. And I have a lot of friends from Pakistan that have parents who are here in America, send the kid back to Pakistan to learn Islam, and the kids were molested. And years go by, they grow up, they manifest to drug addiction, they manifest into so many negative things because they're holding on to this trauma. Thank you for sharing that, Dr. Ali. It's very, very, very vulnerable. Dr. Ali, 2013, Pioneer started. This first marriage is drifting away. You talked about something, waking up 4 o'clock in the morning. Was that like, so when Pioneer was starting, you were still seeing patients and starting this company over here?
For the first 7 years, I would say,
Wow.
I was, we are now a good, $90-100 million companies throughout. But I was working full time clinically and managing everything on my own for the first 6-7 years. That I mean, and don't take me wrong, I have some really kind, smart people around me. Some of my partners, they are better people than I am, and they're supportive, but they also trust me. They know that, and I've never had a partner who ever had to leave, or I think that that's the level of trust that we have developed, that we are honest with each other. But at the same time, I have never gone to a business school. I tried to do an MBA at John Hopkins. Unfortunately, that didn't really, I think that another example of overextending myself, that rather than taking an executive course, I decided to do a 3-year course because I just wanted to learn. Now, I didn't want to get an MBA to get something after my name, but I just wanted to learn. But running this company, being a full-time father, husband, going to Baltimore every month, trying to finish my MBA. So I didn't have any business experience, and even today I say it very proudly that we are not a company; we are a company we keep. We are. I hope we never become a true company. I think that keeping the human factor in mind in medicine, in business, and surrounding yourself with the smartest people and let them do what they're supposed to do. And then your duty is to create a vision, a culture of inclusivity, a culture of reliability, and then talking about this every day. Otherwise it just becomes a slogan on a business card. It is not a live mission. And I think that is one of those things, that the 3 pillars of Pioneer, as I call it. Compassion is one, this compassion towards your patients, with each other, being forgiving. I think is extremely important. And I think that the second pillar is culture. That the culture, like I am a fake CEO. I was a CEO of one person, and I may be a CEO of more people, but I'm just I'm doing this because the duty calls. It was never, my vision was never to be that one day I will become a CEO. No, my vision was to maybe create something that people actually enjoy working. And the third thing is quality. And as a physician, the quality are not just those objective numbers that that your numbers are better, or your hospital will get a 3-star or 5-star rating, but quality makes a difference in somebody's life. Hypoglycemia kills, sepsis kills, and could be of somebody's father, it could be somebody's brother. So I think keeping these 3 pillars, and I said, when I was creating Pioneer, I sat down with my partners and I said that, and this is a quote I took from a course I did in Japan with Toyota. One of the managers told me that when you think about, cereal, Kellogg comes to your mind. When you think about highly reliable car, Toyota comes to your mind. So I said that when quality comes to mind, people should think about Pioneer. And I think that we have made a name for ourselves that people do consider as a quality organization, doing things for the right reason.
Yeah, Dr. Ali, you definitely have. For what I hear from the physicians, you're doing a great job. Dr. Ali, when were you able to say, "Wow, I can breathe. The company's up and running. We're flying in the air. We have enough fuel." I'm speaking metaphorically. we're flying. We're okay. Now let's go to another new height. 5, 6, 8, 9 years, 10 years in the business.
It's never
Never.
there. It's never there. I think that if you become too comfortable, you become complacent. Because there is always room for improvement. It's not about the finances. It's about, I still know that, some physicians, have complaints, and I think about this, that, hey, with the resources which are available to us, what can I do differently every day, every hour? That, what I can do differently. It's an ongoing struggle. Hope one day, and I really hope one day, and I think that there comes a time in a man's life that they take more pleasure looking at the past than what is ahead of them. Hope one day comes in that I say, you know what, I've done something good. Nothing great. I've done something good, not just for the people around me, but the people, their families. I built careers. I've done good for others, not just for myself. And I think that is something I can say that I may have contributed in some people's life. That I've changed. I've helped them achieve their goals. I didn't make it, but they were driven, and it
contributed.
It contributed.
Yeah.
It contributed.
You never feel like you made it. I get it, Dr. Ali. I hear that all the time. Dr. Ali, let's talk about some stats. So year 1 was 2006.
So 2006 is Pioneer Medical Services, and 2013 is when we started Pioneer Medical Group. So if you look at now in the span of 10 years, I mean, we have more than 200 clinicians throughout the division. Other than the critical care and pulmonary, lung programs, neuroscience clinics, and few other things. We also have consulting work. Different healthcare systems ask us to come in and look at their processes, look at their quality, and how we can improve those things. So I think that it makes, it's an ongoing work always, but my mind is always working and, trying to see if we can do something differently all the time.
So the question, Dr. Ali, in 2013, you say 2013 is really when PMG started, right?
Yeah.
Okay. 2013, how many, what do you say, clinician, or you say provider? What's the
I like clinicians. I don't like the word provider. I
clinician?
think it's a negative connotation in my mind. So I went to, I used to work at Advent Health System. I'm always been grateful. They, they have trusted me, especially with the background and everything, coming to this country, and I don't even know how to speak English properly. That they thought that they trusted me, so I was employed by them. I went to some of the CEOs. I sat them down, three or four of them, and I will never forget that moment that I sat down and I said, "Hey, I would like to be fired." And they started laughing. And I said, "No, I mean it. I would like to be fired." And it was Brian Adams and in Orlando, Bruce Bergam, and then few others. And finally, I convinced them after a few months that I can be fired and I can start something on my own. And I told them with extreme transparency that I may crawl back to you in 6 months. And because I have never done any of those things, I've never done business. I don't know how to do it, but I know that I can. I've learned enough, and I will continue to learn to do something different. And that's where this whole thing started.
How many clinicians did you have? How do you say the word, doctor?
Clinicians.
How
So
many
we
did
have
you
more
have?
than 200. Medical, and then Pioneer Critical there's a separate set of and the APPs, and same is true for Pioneer Neuro. So I mean, already 280 or something like that.
How many did you start with in 2013?
So I went from one. Yeah, I mean, we went from 1 to 5 in 2013, and from 5 to where we are today. So
okay,
the numbers itself, I mean, I don't think that matters as much as the impact that we have made in people's life, patients' life, and some of the people who decides to work with us. I don't like the work employees, because all the people who work with us, they have choices. And so yeah, I think that's
amazing. Dr. Ali, from 1 to 200 revenue, if you can share top line revenue, the bottom line.
I mean, don't take this at I mean, we are probably dealing with almost 100 million between different companies.
How about back then, year one? What was the number back
then?
Year
one, 60,000, man. I invested. I was just talking to my partner that I had $110,000 in my account at that time, and and of course I have to pay the mortgage and the babies and everything. So I said I'm going to put 60,000 in. I asked my other five partners at that time. I convinced them to leave employment. I mean, some of them were really, really irritated with me, but I convinced them that we have a chance. So we all pooled in 60,000, the six of us together. And I told them that don't expect a salary for 6 months, and and forgive me if you don't ever get paid. I mean, these are all real conversations I had with them. I said, save money for 6 months. We're just going to work. We may not see any money. And I'll tell you that all these years we've been doing this, we have no liabilities. We have never taken any credit. We have run this company without any liabilities, and I mean that is something that I take a lot of pride in.
You should. That's something we're very proud of. Wow. So 1 to 200, 60,000 to 100 million. We're just guessing, estimating. Dr. Ali, that is amazing. Dr. Two more questions, and I'll let you go. One, you have to have a vision. You can't bring on other people and say, well, I don't know. I'm sure you had a vision. Do you believe in the law of attraction? Law of attraction is like what you think about. Okay.
100%. So let me divide this in two things: vision and the law of attraction. I think that both of those things are fundamental. So no ideas are usually not singular in origin. They're not like a light bulb. Ideas are like, think about in a band, in a concert, right? I start playing drums, tuck, tuck, dum, dum, dum. Then a violinist comes in, then a celloist comes in, and then a guitar starts to play, and then the vocalist comes in, right? And then all of it combined becomes a symphony, right? So, I mean, I know that there are Newton ideas with an apple falling on his head, but that does not happen as often as the rocks or the woods rubbing together to create fire. So I think that the idea of pioneer is not a singular idea. I think that I've worked with this. I may be the lead vocalist, but I think that the people around me, I will give credit to them that made this vision through. And it was never a vision of making money. And I will be very clear about that. The vision was never that to make money. The vision was to make a difference, to do things differently to serve our patients. And I say this without any pretense. It was not that I will make $250,000 or I will make this or I will make that. It was always the vision. Vision, sometimes people think if it's only based on money, I think it's a bad vision. They fail. So I think that that's one thing. The second thing is the law of attraction. I believe that if you are, none of us are, at least I am not perfect, but if you are good, mostly you are a good person, and then you will attract good people around you. And then once you create a core of good people, and they are rumbling with each other, good comes out of it, and you attract more good people. And I think that keeping your ethics in place, that we are when we are seeing our patients, it is not just about coding them, that coding higher codes and this, doing things for the right reason. I think that has been fundamentals. That has been the fundamental guiding strength for our growth. I don't know if it helps. It helps your question or not, but I think that's
absolutely. Thank you for sharing that.
And I think that, like I said earlier, that all of these things, but keeping your humanity, making sure that your humanity never goes away. That pretentiousness, some of these words, like I don't like some of these words. Networking, I know it's important in business. Maybe not in my business as much. I think that networking versus genuine relationships with people.
I agree with you.
Not pretentious interactions. I think that is something that genuinely connecting with people, challenging them to think critically, challenging them to to some of the things that they can do differently. I think that that's something helps. At the same time, be forgiving if they're, I think that these are some of the basic concepts for them that I work with.
That's amazing. That's profound, Dr. Ali. Dr. Last question. You right now sitting in front of me, if you can talk to the 21-year-old Dr. Ali, the young Dr. Ali who was young and didn't know where life can take him, what advice would you give your young self?
That's such a loaded question, man. I mean, I always say that if I can talk to my 20, I actually often talk about this, that how stupid I was and how confident I was at that time that I knew everything. And I think that if somebody can sit me down and humble me down, that there's so much that you don't know, there's so much you have not read, you have not met people who are actually my idols, you have not learned enough, you have not read enough. The only thing you know is how to treat pneumonia, and that does not define life. So I think that having life lessons, reading more, investing in yourself more, learning different skills, how to communicate better, how to strategize better, how to get your goals, It is not just about getting a degree. Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you, I was when I think about my 21, and I'm pretty dumb, but I was even more dumber, you know, at that time.
Yes, wow.
So
That's
yeah,
interesting, Dr. Ali. This has been amazing. Dr. Ali, are you on social media at all?
I don't do social media.
Okay.
You know, the reason I would like, I'm writing this book right now. You know, lessons from failures. And it is we all like to talk about the greatest things that we have done, but we don't talk about the failures that we went through. You know, we don't talk about the challenges which made us where we are today. So I think once that is close to publication, I may. But social media in a way that to show the bag or the car, and I mean, that's just not my thing. And and the people that I like to connect with, really, I just call them. So I use the social media in that regard. I mean, I'm on LinkedIn. Other than that, I have some platforms, but I hardly ever use them.
Dr. Ali, friendly advice to another entrepreneur: make a professional, nothing personal, something just about your trivia. Share like a one note here and there, some memory. I think your social media could do a big impact, more than probably.
You're saying that if some young entrepreneur, not advice for a young entrepreneur. I just want to make sure I understand you correctly. Is that correct?
I'm saying, like, from an entrepreneur myself, I'm 41. I have a huge social media presence, and I find, like, if I can find you on social media and you one random Tuesday share a memory that serves you now, and if I hear that memory, I'm like, wow, that makes so much sense. It could impact my life.
Yeah.
You can talk about old pictures. Here I am in Pakistan. I was lost, but like stuff like that, without the back, without the car, without the vacations. There's ways you could do it.
I think the biggest, so it cannot be a one word, or but I can describe in a few sentences. So one thing is that find yourself first. Understand who you are. What you are capable of, and don't overestimate yourself. That first thing. So, like yesterday, I was talking to somebody and I asked him, take a piece of paper, write all your qualities, all your strengths, and your weakness, and then work on both. He said, why do I need to work on my strengths? And I said that you need to work on your strengths so you can even be stronger. That's why. And then work on your weaknesses, that if you don't know certain, like every year I take a new thing to learn. It could be philosophy, it could be physics, it could be, so I continuously learn woodworking, you call it, I learn something new that makes me interesting, just for myself to begin with, that I can talk about quantum physics, not greatly, but I have a good idea, not a great idea. But learning is another important thing. So first find your strengths and then learn. And then learn about the things that you're not good at. If you don't understand the financial world, if you don't understand the healthcare universe, then, learn more about it. And then, do it with genuineness. If you BS, people can figure it out in 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, that you are a BSer. But if you are a genuine person, people will eventually connect to you. You don't have to be you don't have to be in a fancy suit and a fancy car. People connect with you if you are genuine. And then put your ideas on paper. I've done it every year for the past 22 years. And then one thing that I also do, I leave 1 hour in a week, probably, usually Saturday or Sunday, where I just sit down and I reflect on my week prior. What could I have done differently? And then I reflect, and then I plan for the week ahead, that, looking at my calendar or whatever it is, that, what I'm going to. And then I sit down in that hour and I just think, and I know it may sound crazy, but we don't have time to think. We think on the go. That is the most important part of our lives, that we think in the shower, we think lying on the bed, but we don't plan thinking. And I think that's an additional point. And then ideas are like, everybody has an idea, but if you don't know, so the why of your idea, that why it needs to be done, think hard the why of your ideas and use a soundboard with the why of your idea. But it will not go anywhere if you don't know the how to implement it and when to implement it. So the why, how, and when, I think that all these three things are as important as the rest of the stuff. And the how comes from being organized, learning lean management, data production systems, or any other way. Your time boxing, whatever you need to do. And then when you will do it in 2 years, you will do it in 1 year. And the why should never be about money. I think that's a big mistake that people do. Sorry, it's a long answer.
No, but listen, that right there on social media, if I was on Instagram and I'm looking at Dr. Ali's page and you talked about that on Facebook, I'll be glued to it. That's what I'm saying. Stuff like that you can share on social media, but I get it. People are private. People have a different perspective. You don't need social media to sell your business. You're a different business, right? I'm an entrepreneur. I have to connect with people. So my different.
Yeah.
Dr. Ali, it's been a pleasure. We'll do a part 2 face-to-face one day. I'll come out there with nice lights and a mic.
Please do. Please do. I would love to show you my workshop off the record. Can we go off the record now for a bit?
Let's do that.
I would love to show you my studio and workshop.
So Dr. Ali, thank you so much for this interview. Like my audience listening to this, guys. So I'm gonna give you my notes. So Dr. Ali came from Pakistan, age 27, 1,700 in his pocket. It is a story. Many of us are born in this country. We have parents and we still are lazy. We have no direction. Here is this man who came with nothing and ultimately made a business. Right now it's worth about 100 million average. So take a lesson from Dr. Ali. He's not on social media yet. I'm going to convince him to jump on soon, one day. Stay tuned for part 2. We'll do a face-to-face in the studio. We'll have my camera crew come out there. And remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and see you guys next time. Thank you, everyone.